like to make a video about the subject of depression. It's interesting how synchronicities work, because I was talking about this very thing, this making of this video with my wife last week, and I said, I should make one. And then yesterday was World Mental Health Day. And when I found out, I said, okay, well, I'll make one this week. So here it is. And this time I wrote my thoughts down so I wouldn't forget something. Because you know that I talk freely in most of my videos, but sometimes I forget certain things that I really wanted to say. And then I, not too happy about that. So let's hope I remembered everything when I wrote this the script down. A new addition to the face. So during all times, but especially during these times, countless people are suffering from depression and other mental health problems. While it makes sense nowadays, it certainly feels irrational at other times, particularly when things are going well. Depression is a condition that can take many forms. Life can seem black with no foreseeable way of getting better. Everything you do doesn't seem like it's enough. You're not good enough. You can feel hopeless, unloved, useless, with no prospect of anyone liking you. It can get as dark as wanting to end your life. All of this can be felt by someone going through depression, even though they're doing well and their life is good, even though they're loved and have good families. Or it can actually be just that dark and hopeless for someone. Depression doesn't care. Here are some of the things that can push you into a bout of depression. Spending inordinate amounts of time on social media and stressing out about likes and dislikes. Having a job where you are spending all your day in front of a computer. Humans were not made to sit in front of a computer all day. It's unhealthy. Living in large cities with little to no contact with nature. Eating unbalanced diets that are made up of mostly processed foods and sugars, without natural whole fruits, vegetables, and roots mixed in. Being in an unhealthy or abusive relationship, or wanting to be in a relationship but ending up alone. An obsession with pornography or with fleeting sexual encounters. These kinds of experiences leave you empty, depleted, setting you up for depression. Listening to the sad music of every emotionally wallowing singer out there because it's somehow comfortable for you, because you like their music. Please realize these people are mentally unstable if all they sing about is their problems. And once they get famous, they get even more unstable. Fame messes with your head. So don't put yourselves in a situation where their unhappiness rubs off on you, or their troubles start to play out in your life just because you admire them in some way. Social and financial unrest and troubles. Yes, I'm referring to what's going on these days. Medical scares. Yes, I'm referring to what's going on these days, but not necessarily. I hear about people in my social circle who are going through depression, and I hear they're ashamed of it. That was actually the impetus for making this video. I also hear that some spouses deride them and do not offer them support. Generally speaking, there's so much shame about reaching out for help, as if you are somehow inferior if you're going through this. There's also a stigma attached to mental illness, because in the past, people accused of mental illness, were forcibly grabbed and stuck in loony bins. It didn't matter if they were misdiagnosed. It didn't matter if they didn't even suffer from anything, but foul things were at play. They were forcibly put into these horrible places, and they lost their legal and human rights while they were there, as if they were less than people. As recent as the 1950s and 60s, this still happened in a lot of countries, including Romania. Even nowadays, there's a law called the Baker Act in the United States, which allows doctors to restrain and hospitalize a person if they meet certain mental health criteria. The catch is that those criteria are judged by the doctor who fills out the Baker Act paperwork. So there's room for mistakes, and there's room for foul play. Let's get back to legitimate mental health problems, though. Most of these people going through depression do not get the support they need from their spouses, and they're ashamed to go to a doctor about it. So they suffer in silence. And when you don't get help for a potentially lethal condition, who knows what can happen? I have my own experience with depression. It's a long-term issue that comes up now and then. A number of years ago, I went through a severe bout of depression, which was perhaps caused by overwork. Judging by outward appearances, it didn't make sense. It happened during a time when we were financially successful. My wife and I had and still have a happy marriage, a truly well-working, close-knit relationship with love and respect for each other. We know it, and other people can see it who are in our social circle. So if I had told someone at the time that I was depressed, I mean truly depressed, they'd probably laugh at me and tell me it didn't make sense. And that's how it is in most cases. It doesn't make sense. Yet it's still there, and it's still serious. When I had reached a truly low point, I decided to ask for help, and I reached out to my dad, who was a psychiatrist. And he immediately overnighted some medication that took effect within hours. At that point, I'd tried various other things, and I can safely say that it was the meds that helped me the most. I'm not going to talk about specific medications here. I'm not a doctor, and even if I were, I wouldn't be making drug recommendations in an online video. That's not the point. And the point is, the medications helped. As with any medications, the side effects are important to consider. A mental fog sets in, and it adds an extra layer of abstraction from reality, if you will. It's difficult enough to engage with reality as it is, particularly during these times, and this chemical fog makes it harder. That was also the benefit, though, at least for me. It put mental distance between me and the things that were probably causing my depression. It took away the rampant running thoughts that weren't leaving me alone beforehand, and a calming, at times eerie silence set in. It was a silence I got to love. Still do it to this day, and I still feel it even though it's been a long time since I've been on medications. I heard less when I was on medication, and I was able to focus more on single tasks. For some people, there can be other side effects, such as weight gain or sexual dysfunctions. Things differ for everyone, and I suggest you start with the lightest medication that can help you. Find a doctor that will work with you, monitor the effects of the drugs they're prescribing, and adjust or change them if needed. You also need to limit the amount of time you're on these medications. I've heard stories of entire water tables permanently polluted by antidepressants in the US, where if you drink the water in that area, you get a certain dose of antidepressants yourself, regardless of whether you need it or not. That's not the goal with my advice. The point is to get off the meds as soon as you can handle being on your own again. And it's a point that my dad, a lifelong psychiatrist, stressed to me repeatedly while I was in treatment. Remember that your body will get used to the medications, and not only will you need to raise the dosage as you keep using them, but there will be hell to pay as you get off them. There's a withdrawal period during which you're very frustrated because you have to lower the dosage gradually till you can wean yourself off of them. When you do, during that time, you'll begin to re-engage with the world without their aid, which can be disconcerting and stressful and overwhelming. Also, when you get off them completely, there will be certain unavoidable physical symptoms. For me, it was a constant tingling or itching sensation all over my body, especially at night, so I couldn't sleep. Eventually, exhaustion sets in and you do fall asleep, but this stuff went on for over a week for me. So I'm not eager to ever get back on medications, although I acknowledge their help. Without my dad's quick reaction when I told him, and without the medications, who knows what might have happened. And it's also important to state that I tried more natural remedies, all kinds of them. They did not work for me, but perhaps they'll work for you. You won't know unless you try, though. So try. Exercise. Do yoga. Get out in nature for long walks. Take up gardening. Clean and organize your house. Fix it up. Anything to jolt you out of the funk that sets in when you're depressed. Seek help. Don't be ashamed. Find a good doctor or therapist. For me, therapy didn't help at all. I tried seeing therapists and I found them useless. I even tried CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, with my dad. He was really good at it and had great results with other people. But I found that useless as well. I needed medications. That's what worked for me. It may be different for you. But if you don't ask and you don't try, you won't know. Many spouses feel helpless and frustrated. They may want to help, but don't know how. Just be there for your loved ones, and that's going to be enough. Don't dismiss them and don't deride them when they tell you they're depressed or worse. Don't accuse them. Don't lecture them. These things don't make sense to them either. You can't help them beyond offering love, hugs, and understanding. Just be there for them. The rest of the help will have to come from doctors, most likely. As for the spouses that don't want to help and don't try to understand, and even worse, mock you for your condition, they're no good for you, whether you're depressed or not. Seek another that will actually stand by your side and face life together with you instead of being at odds with you. You are the gauge for the things you're going through. You'll know instinctively if you can get through a bout of depression by yourself, or if it gets worse and you need help. And when you realize that, when you know that things have just turned very serious, don't hesitate. Go out and seek help right away. One question that some of you who watch my channel regularly might now have is this: how have I dealt with my eye injury insofar as my mental health is concerned? If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my previously published video. I'm happy to say that I'm not depressed. I went and got the medical help that I needed for my eye, and the situation is hopeful. While I'm not fully recovered yet, I will be fairly soon. If you're going through mental problems, and by God, this is one of those times in human history when most people should have some sort of mental health issue, get help. See if therapy works. See if a support group works. See if natural remedies work. See if exercise works. Try whatever you think might work. But if none of those things work, get on medication until you get better. So, thanks for watching. Till next time.